So he's like, okay, so I won't modulate. So he set it off. And then he stripped down entirely naked. And I wasn't expecting that. And I realized that in my life, I've never felt lonely. I've always had music. I've always gone to the piano. I've always maybe never really fully dealt with things because I've always gone, oh, musical. Even before I met Irene, I had met this person called Michael, whose stage name is FLESHLICKER. And again, there's another Petri connection here. So one of the things that happened after Petri played me, after I played Petri, the very early version of this track, he was like, I'd like to play you something. And so he played me this piece of music by an artist called Prurient. And the music was called Despiritualized. It was called Despiritualized. And he put it on in here, so it was really loud. And I was just sitting opposite him, like, you know, a bit over here, but you and me, him and me there. And he started playing this track, and it had the most profound effect on my body. I felt like I was possessed. The music was noise, didn't know where it was going. It felt like I couldn't predict where it was going. And it made me feel so, literally I spent my whole life trying to make organized sound into pretty paintings and, you know, perfect all little details and take the listener on a journey. And I find it hard to connect with a lot of music because my brain works and my brain's kind of thinking about, oh, it's going to go there, it's going to go there, it's going to go there. And I recognized that the reason why this piece of music had such a profound impact on me is that my pleasure point, and maybe all of our pleasure points, is where we are just on the edge of chaos, where our brain feels like, oh, this is chaos now. That's not a pleasurable place. But just ahead of it, where you still have some connection to structure and time and harmony, melody, and just at the fulcrum of this kind of point where you tip into chaos, that's where the pleasure point is. It's like, oh my God, it's kind of so exciting, and you just feel alive. You're in the moment. You're kind of a little bit out of your depth. You don't really know where it's going, but you're still with them, and they're taking you on a journey. And there's something about that was happening on like another level, to the point where I'm not even joking, and I wasn't on any substances or any alcohol. He's totally teetotal every way. And I found my body was like, it was literally like a poltergeist, if there was such a thing. Maybe there is, who knows. Just was kind of taking over my body. And but the end of this piece of music, which is about 20 minutes long, my eyes were rolling back. I was like on the floor, just completely out of breath, not knowing what the hell just happened. And because I was so infatuated with this person, I actually thought it was like magic. I thought he had some kind of dark magic that I'd never come across, and that he was somehow doing that. And I was like, what the hell was that? He was like, I don't know what you mean. And I was like, what were you doing? Like, why am I here, like on the floor now? It's like, I don't know. And I just thought, you know, I was just all in the rush of love, early love, and this kind of obsession. And then the last time it happened, well, in this period of time, I went to see these artists with Petri in an underground bunker in, again, I think somewhere in Tottenham. And there was maybe like 12 people there, and there were these 3 noise artists, and one of them particularly was called FLESHLICKER. And he was barely wearing anything. It was all red light. And I was standing there kind of like holding on to Petri, who was very strong, by the way. And just standing there going, oh, this is so cool. I'm loving this. Like, I love this life. It's crazy good. And then FLESHLICKER came on, and he spent quite a long time tweaking his noise. But basically then he just set it off, and it was pink noise that was being gated by some kind of modular gate thing. And really loud, massive speakers. And then he was half naked, and he was coming around to each of us, like, being a kind of emotion. So the first time he went to this person who was like maniacally laughing at them, and they felt deeply uncomfortable. But I think he was kind of showing them, you're not cool. This, just because we're here doesn't mean you're cool. He was trying to, like, I don't know, it was antagonistic. And I was looking at him going, wow, this is crazy. I've never seen anything like this, you know. And this guy kind of started off being like, ha, yeah, ha, like kind of like trying to be cool. And then in the end, he was like, you know, really kind of freaked out by him. And then I really wanted him to come up to me. And then he came up to me and he gave me the kind of death stare, like, I'm going to kill you look. And I had this amazing feeling which was like excited by it, like just genuinely like euphoric that there was this incredible noise that you didn't know where it was going to go. It was very dark and weird. And then I wanted him to have this, and he came in, he death stared me. And I just felt euphorically, I don't know, it wasn't like happiness, it was just purity or something. It was just, this is an undeniable feeling that I'm having, and I'm so happy about it, because there's so many things which are ambiguous in life, and it was just like, I'm feeling this person right now. And I reached out to him and kind of like, as if to say, I feel you and thank you, kind of look. Anyway, I was really struck by it, and I sent him a message later that night, and I was like, hi, I was really amazing, I was the person that, you know, touched you in the hand or whatever. And he was like, oh my God, Imogen Heap, what were you doing in a bunker? You know, I was like, I was with this guy. And he said, if you ever need any noise, just let me know. And I'm like, well, actually I do. So the same thing happened.
Did you know Tape Notes is an independent channel? Everything we do is funded by your support. We want to continue to bring bigger guests and new original content. So here are 5 ways to help us do that. Patrons get access to our full archive of long-form videos. We're talking 2-hour conversations with the best artists and producers in the world. You also get entry into our amazing monthly giveaways, plus exclusive behind-the-scenes content and much more. YouTube members get access to ad-free episodes, exclusive content, and early access to everything before it goes public. Another great way to support us is by checking out our sponsor, Tape It, a recording app made for musicians by musicians. Download the app and get 20% off Tape It Pro using the code TAPENOTES. We have just released our first ever line of merch. Head to the store tab on our channel page or check the merch section below this video to browse all our new designs and products. And finally, the simplest one. Follow us across all our platforms. Keep watching, liking, commenting, and sharing what we do. Tape Notes wouldn't exist without you. So, thank you. And now, back to the episode.
So I reached out, I said, well, please, can we do that? But just like in my barn, can you come to my barn, bring your setup?
So this is Michael, aka FLESHLICKER, in your barn with what looked like 2 massive amps with a head on top of that, and he's just making the noise in the barn, and you're recording this.
Yeah, exactly. But this was just the day setup. So we were just like setting it up, and then we went out for a nice walk and into the fields, and it was all very nice. And then we came back, and then it was night. And then he was like, right, how long do you want me to do the noise for? And do you want me to modulate it? I was like, no, I don't want you to modulate it. I want to kind of emanate kind of what we did that night, where you came up to me and you stared at me, and it brought, and I just felt this crazy feeling. I want to feel that again, and I want to put it at the end of this track, because basically after I played this track to Petri, then he played me this prurient piece. So I was trying to see if I could emulate this feeling somehow in other people by going the noise direction. So I said, I don't think anyone's going to listen to it for longer than like 5 minutes. So let's just do like 5-minute recording, and just like do whatever you want. Just like stare at me or not, or I don't mind. I just want to, I don't kind of really want to know, but I'll record everything. And so he's like, okay, so I won't modulate. So he set it off. And then he stripped down entirely naked, and I wasn't expecting that. I was pretty close, and I was like, wow, this is a very vulnerable experience here, on both sides. And I was deeply moved, and also had so many conflicting emotions. Like, I'm finding this very sexual, but I don't know if I'm allowed to touch this as a performance. I mean, what's going on? There was so many grey areas, and I just found, and I felt so alive in it, but also constant questions, but at the same time in the noise, this deep peace, because there's no thinking involved. It's just, you can't think. You literally can't think. It's like white noise go in your ears. And I've found this profound kind of sense of peace in there. But then there was always this kind of waking up out of this and just going, well, should I be touching him, or what should I get on the floor? What should I do? And all just like all my insecurities coming out. And then at exactly 5 minutes, he just stopped. And then he stopped the noise, and then he walked to the back of the room, to the barn, this huge barn in the garden, and then just stared at me in the silence. And I wasn't expecting that either. And I just broke down into tears for like the most wailing tears I've ever done. And I had no idea why, because I found it deeply amazing. I was like, felt so lucky to be there. But I was just so crying. I didn't know if it was sadness or overwhelm. I didn't know what it was. And then he came up to me after a while and I thought he was going to give me a hug and be like, it's okay, yeah, are you okay? But he didn't. He just kind of held my hand loosely and just was like, okay, well, I'll pat down then, yeah? And I was like, yeah. And then just still was in this complete otherworldly space in my head. And I couldn't really have the conversation with like, oh, how was it for you? I couldn't do that. So I just left the barn and I walked to a view that's here in the dark, and I saw London in the distance, and it was a nice night. But after about 15 seconds of walking out of the barn, the feeling that came up was the feeling of loneliness. And I was like, wow, I'm feeling lonely, you know. And I realized that in my life, I've never felt lonely. I've always had music. I've always gone to the piano. I've always maybe never really fully dealt with things because I've always gone, oh, musical. Da, 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 da. So I recognized that in the noise, maybe my relationships with people were never going really fully that deep because I'd always give that time and attention to music. And it was this massive kind of like realization. So I was thinking, is this me killing my baby? You know, do I need to kill music in my brain? Do I need to kind of remove it with this attachment that I have onto it in order to fully experience life with other humans in a trusting, open space? Because I'd always kind of hidden away and been quite hermity. Anyway, so that was the reason that I wanted to put the noise in. What I needed to do was I needed to find in the spaces of the noise, that's when the clarity came out in these bursts. And so I went through my phone and I found hundreds of videos, visual moments of really euphoric or big events like my sister dying, going to a club with a friend, or, you know, sunset or whatever, just like my mom talking, like a bunch of stuff. And then weaved them into the noise, like they were coming through like little bursts of like, and then so you have all these vignettes of sounds. And it took me absolutely ages, but it is my most favorite thing I've ever done, which is the noise section. But when people listen to it, what I hope happens is something unearths, because there is this chaos. And then there's a little vignette of something that might remind you of something, and what's stirring under there. So this is me speaking with Scout about my sister's death. That Scout saying, say hello, Bowdy. I mean...
Scout being your daughter, just in case people don't...
Yeah. These are the insecurities that I wanted to record, so no one will ever love you. So all of these sounds, like, that's all FLESHLICKER. Everything else has come out of that. That's a picture taken at a christening. Oblivion. This is the church bell from Alexi's garden. All these years. Scout talking about some electric thing happening. Scout and her cousin Ava doing a little hand thing. This is Scout saying, I love it. It was her birthday. That's her dad, who's in the room. Anyway. You'll never find happiness. This bit I love. I love watching people listen to that for the first time, because everyone thinks it's finished and they kind of relax, and then it just goes and everyone's like, oh! I love it. And then the breath.